A 7-year-old boy wanted to challenge a 70-year-old man's endgame. Although he was very reluctant, he grabbed the woman's $5. He intended to deal with it casually, but Josh checkmated him in just 4 moves. The old man panicked and quickly used his ultimate move, but no matter how he struggled, Josh easily overpowered him. Seeing that he was about to lose, the old man started to cheat.
It's over. You lose.
Kind-hearted Josh didn't argue with him. He just glanced at his mother and then smiled and said thank you.
Thanks.
This move left the mother beside him stunned. You should know, this was the son's first time playing chess. When the mother told her husband about Josh playing chess in the park, his reaction was exactly the same as hers. They couldn't believe Josh would win, but were still curious. Back home, he rummaged through the house and found an old chess set. He asked Josh to play a game with him, and the result was unexpected. The father won easily. He thought his son's win at the park was just luck, but his wife's words made him take it seriously. Can't you see? He just doesn't want to beat you. The father then approached his son again. You better not hold back. I want to see your true skills. It wasn't until the mother reminded him, it's okay to beat your dad, he won't get mad, that Josh started to give it his all. The father was cautious with every move, but he was really slow. While waiting for his father's next move, he even started playing with his sister's toys. Finally, the father made a difficult move. Josh ran downstairs and immediately captured his father's pawn, as if he had anticipated this move all along. The father thought, I've been pondering this for so long, and you solved it in a second. The game continued until evening. Bored, Josh went to take a bath. The father finally made his next move, only for Josh to easily counter it, and he started playing blindfold chess. The father felt a bit smug after helping him finish, thinking it was a trap. However, his wife didn't agree. The husband took a closer look and realized he had already lost. He then understood that his son had an extraordinary talent for chess. To ensure this talent wasn't wasted, he took Josh to a chess club, hoping that the chess master Bruce would take Josh as a student. However, Bruce said he was no longer accepting students. Just as the father was about to leave in disappointment, a crisp clapping sound caught Bruce's attention. It was undoubtedly a blitz game. Bruce couldn't help but look up. It turned out that Josh was playing intensely with a club expert. The speed of their moves increased, and soon the only sound in the room was the ticking of the timer. As the opponent toppled his king, Josh not only won the game easily, but also caught Bruce's eye. Seeing the frustration on his opponent's face, Josh walked over with his snacks to comfort him before leaving. In the days that followed, Josh would come to the small park to play chess with his father. This was where his interest in chess began. He remembered that day vividly. He was playing hide and seek in the park when he stumbled upon a black object buried in the fallen leaves. Curious, he picked it up and examined it closely, not knowing what it was for. Suddenly, he heard some noise behind him. It turned out that people were using dice to decide who would make the first move on the chessboard. Josh then realized that what he was holding was a chess piece. Nearby, the sound of 2 people playing chess echoed clearly. Even though it started to rain heavily, the players were so engrossed in their game that they didn't want to leave. The raindrops created sparkling splashes on the chessboard, and the pieces, constantly struck by the rain, became even more captivating in his eyes. Josh was so mesmerized that he didn't hear his mother calling him several times. This chance encounter sparked a deep interest in chess for the introverted Josh. The next day, on the way home from picking up Josie from school, Josie asked to go to the park to watch people play chess. His mother was a bit puzzled by his request, as she never knew her son was interested in chess. However, being understanding, she took Josie to the park. Upon arriving, she felt very uneasy because the park was filled with men with bad habits, smoking, tattoos, and dealing in contraband. Despite a sign clearly stating that gambling was prohibited, people were openly using chess as a tool for gambling. Fearing for her child's safety, the mother wanted to leave. However, Josh's attention was completely captivated by chess. The pieces moving back and forth on the board seemed to have a magical power that he couldn't take his eyes off. Over time, his Lego toys were put away, and the door to the world of chess opened. His mother also keenly noticed his obsession with chess. So one day, she took him to a small park and tentatively let Josh play a $5 game with an old man. This led to the scene at the beginning. Unexpectedly, the 70-year-old man's endgame was easily handled by Josh. His exceptional skill caught the attention of Vinny, the black man nearby. Vinny wanted to know Josh's name, but his mother, thinking Vinny had bad intentions, quickly took her son away. After failing to become Bruce's apprentice, Josie, accompanied by his father, went to the small park again. Gradually, he became familiar with Winnie, and they developed a mentor-friend relationship, sparring as skilled practitioners. Every time they played chess, they were surrounded by spectators. On this day, as the two were intensely engaged in their game, the father noticed Bruce, who had once rejected him, among the crowd. It turned out that Bruce, who highly valued talent, didn't want Josh to be overlooked. So, he invited Josh's father to the chess tournament circuit. The world's best chess players gathered there, all seeking the same person, the world chess champion, Bobby Fischer. They all tried to learn and imitate Fischer's style, but ended up failing miserably. However, in Josie, Bruce saw a rare originality and the potential to become the next Fischer. Bruce admitted that the path of playing chess is not easy. It could either make him famous or drive him insane, ultimately turning him into someone who can't even take care of himself. For a moment, his father was very worried, but after much contemplation, he decided to bring Bruce home, to Josh's room. After the father left, Josh and Bruce started playing games. Although these games had nothing to do with chess, they were an important process of mutual understanding. It wasn't until evening when their mother returned from grocery shopping that they ended their game. Before leaving, Bruce gave his father a knowing look. The father suddenly realized and took out the money, then stood there helplessly with an empty wallet. This entire scene was witnessed by Josh from the stairs. When the real class began, Bruce immediately set up a chess endgame and asked Josh to checkmate in 4 moves without moving any pieces. But just as Josh memorized the positions, Bruce suddenly swept all the pieces to the ground. His goal was to push Josh to develop deeper thinking skills. Facing the empty board, Josh's mind raced. It didn't take long for Josh to announce the winning move.
Knight to c8.
Yes.
Bruce was very pleased with his answer. He then carefully took something out of his bag. He told Josh that it was a certificate for a chess grandmaster. Only a few people in history have received this honor. To get this certificate, one must accumulate a very high score. Seeing the eager look in Josh's eyes, Bruce added 10 points to his score as a reward for solving the previous chess puzzle. He then carefully put the certificate back and placed it back in his bag. From then on, Josh would study with Bruce every week, but he spends most of his time playing chess in the park. Bruce keenly noticed that Josh particularly likes to attack with a queen right from the start. This is a typical street style. Although this method can be surprisingly effective in the park, it is easy to suffer in formal competitions due to its lack of strategy. He hopes his father can stop Josh from playing chess in the park. His father naturally had no objections and readily agreed. But his mother firmly disagreed because she knows Josh very well. If he is not allowed to go, it would be like taking his life. Seeing his mother's determination, Josh's father and Bruce had to compromise for the time being. Soon after, Josh faced his first official match. Since all the participants were geniuses from various places, the parents were very picky. Despite the referee explaining the rules in advance, the parents still tried to push their limits. Some insisted their sons use their own chess sets, while others claimed their daughters were accustomed to their own timers. Moreover, some parents even fought during the preliminaries, suspecting each other of signaling their children. What seemed like a competition for the kids was actually a battlefield for the parents. The referee had no choice but to send the parents to the locker room. The moment the doors were locked, the arena fell silent. Suddenly, a little girl started clapping, and soon everyone joined in happily. The children simply wanted a pure competition, not the adults for your own good. After hours of intense competition, only 2 children remained in the hall, vying for the championship. One of them was Josh. During the championship match, the parents locked in the changing room were eager to know the progress. They started using the kids to relay each move. Josh was the first to lose a pawn. The opponent's parent quickly comforted Josh's father, saying, "Don't worry, your son must have a strategy." He even patted Josh's father on the arm, though he was secretly delighted. But as the saying goes, fortunes change. Soon, the kids reported that Josh had captured the opponent's rook. Now it was Josh's father's turn to comfort the other parent, saying, "Don't worry, your son must be sacrificing the rook for a greater strategy." He too patted the other parent's shoulder, secretly pleased. The 2 prodigies continued to battle back and forth. After what seemed like an eternity, the match finally ended, but the kids didn't say who won. On the way home, Josh's father looked serious, thinking Josh had lost. To his surprise, Josh had not only won the first match, but also started to show his true talent from then on. In every subsequent match, he easily defeated his opponents, and his points skyrocketed from the bottom to the top. His home was filled with various trophies. However, the continuous competition severely affected Josh's school life. The teacher kindly reminded his father that Josh's grades had significantly dropped and he was gradually becoming distant from his classmates. She acknowledged Josh's potential in chess, but also hoped his parents would pay attention to other aspects. Unexpectedly, his sincere words angered his father. His mother advised him to listen to the teacher's opinion, but he harshly scolded the teacher in front of many students' parents. In his view, Josh was extremely talented and destined for greater achievements, and studying and socializing were undoubtedly a waste of time. Clearly, the father had lost his mind in Josh's glory. Even at home in the evening, he wanted Josh to transfer to a private school just because it had a chess course. Although Josh agreed to his father's suggestion, he didn't really want to transfer. The next day, while playing chess at the small park, he complained to Vinny, "I just didn't want to refuse my father." At that moment, a duel attracted all the surrounding spectators. Seeing this, Josh curiously approached to watch. But the moment he saw the chess player, the smile that had just appeared on Josh's face immediately disappeared. It turned out that the person playing chess with the old man was a boy about his own age. This boy had a sharp and decisive look. In less than a minute, he had cornered the old man and won, not forgetting to mockingly say, "Trick or treat." The onlookers praised him as a young Fischer. With just this brief encounter, Josh realized there are always people better than you. He instinctively wanted to avoid it, but the truth is, the more you fear something, the more likely you are to face it. On this day, while Josh was learning from Bruce at the club, that boy was suddenly brought there by his master. It was clear that Bruce and the other person were old acquaintances, but their relationship didn't seem friendly. The other person mentioned that the boy would also participate in the upcoming state finals. He then pretended to invite the boy to join the chess club and asked Bruce for an application form. However, he immediately threw the form on the table like it was trash. It was obvious that this was a premeditated provocation, and Josh felt the pressure for the first time. In the evening, he tentatively asked his father if he could skip the state finals. Winning would be seen as expected, but losing would bring ridicule and scorn. However, his father seemed completely unconcerned about his worries, only emphasizing that he would definitely not lose. Little did he know that this seemingly supportive assurance was actually putting more pressure on Josh. It's lonely at the top, especially for someone as young as Qiao Shi. Soon, the state finals began, and Qiao Shi spotted the boy among the competitors. However, they didn't face each other this time because Qiao Shi surprisingly lost the match early, in just 7 moves, to an opponent far less skilled than him. It started raining heavily outside. The father ignored Josh, who was shivering in the rain, and kept questioning him repeatedly about why he lost. But what Josh cared about was, "Why are you standing so far away from me?" Hearing this, the father suddenly realized that he had been too obsessed with winning and losing, neglecting Josh's true feelings. Because of this loss in the competition, Bruce started strictly forbidding Josh from playing fast chess in the park because he believed that the people there were all failures and could only teach him unrefined things. He thought that if Josh continued to stay in that environment, he would inevitably head towards failure. Although Josh didn't agree with Bruce's viewpoint, he never went to the park again after that. Every time he passed by after school, this was the place where his chess dream began and where his original passion lay, but now he had to stay away from it. Josh looked up at his mother. She knew it was his cry for help, but under the strong demands of his father and Bruce, she was powerless. That day, Bruce came home to tutor. He always thought Josh was too soft and should learn to despise and even hate his opponents. Only then would he have the drive to defeat them. But no matter how Bruce explained and guided, Josh couldn't feel that way. Even when Bruce used Fischer as an example, he spoke with a tone that was both innocent and resolute.
I'm not him.
Hearing this, Bruce's smile gradually faded. He glanced at the chessboard and said disappointedly, "I think I understand." In other words, Josh's chess journey won't go far. The boy entered the finals with the highest score, winning all 6 matches. Meanwhile, Josh seemed to be shut out of the chess world. Gradually, he lost his obsession with chess itself and became more interested in the points and certificates Bruce mentioned. He wanted to know how many more points he needed to get the certificate. If he couldn't get an answer, he refused to continue playing chess. Clearly, Bruce was also losing his patience. He casually pulled out a certificate from his bag and threw it to Josh, no longer being cautious. Then came 10 more, 10 in total. He told Josh that these things were just meaningless pieces of paper. Looking at what he once aspired to, now so cheap, Josh's faith completely crumbled at that moment. The sparkle in his eyes was gone. His mother saw everything and wouldn't let Bruce hurt his child this way. She told him to leave the house immediately. Bruce had no choice but to leave reluctantly. Unexpectedly, the father strongly agreed with Bruce's approach. He believed that Josh was in a low period and needed a stricter method to rebuild his inner strength. This way, he could become more resilient through failure rather than becoming afraid of competition and failure. Clearly, the father didn't understand Josh at all, but the mother saw everything clearly. So, she finally couldn't hold back her anger. She said that Josh wasn't afraid of failure, but of losing your love. The father was furious upon hearing this because, deep down, he knew the mother was right. The mother decided not to compromise anymore. To protect Josh and his inner goodness, she wasn't afraid to confront anyone. If anyone tried to destroy Josh's kindness again, she would take him away immediately. The mother's firm stance finally made the... After a whole night of reflection, he realized that he had been too eager for quick success and had neglected Josh's original passion for chess. So early the next morning, he decided to talk to Josh. When he entered the room, he was stunned by what he saw. The once cluttered room, filled with toys, was now neatly organized by Josh. All the toys and books were arranged perfectly. Josh was sitting at the desk, seriously studying the chessboard. The father, full of regret, sat on the bed and said to Josh, "You don't have to study chess anymore. If you want to give it up now, I won't mind." But Josh said he must win. He had heard his parents arguing the night before. The intense argument made him realize that his parents' love for him would never fade. Instead, it was he who had been anxious and neglecting his unwavering passion for chess. So, he decided to no longer carry anyone's expectations. From now on, he would fight for himself and reclaim his crown in the near future. His father saw the determination in his eyes and understood his thoughts and changes. So, he moved all the trophies to Josh's room, as they were always Josh's pride. Moreover, he personally took Josh to the park. Josh played a quick game of chess with Winnie, free from rules and strategic constraints. Josh quickly regained his fearless spirit, while his father watched from the side. He showed a genuine smile. The national competition was approaching, but Bruce suddenly approached his father, advising him not to let Josh participate. Other kids were training hard, while Josh had been slacking off lately without any deliberate practice. This would lead to a crushing defeat on the field, completely destroying his confidence and leaving him demoralized. But at this point, the father no longer cared about these things. He just wanted Josh to grow freely and follow his heart. Later, he took Josh out for fishing and camping trips. For 2 whole weeks, he didn't mention chess at all. Soon, the national chess tournament arrived as scheduled. Many parents are cramming with their children, but Josh's father calmly reminds him not to be nervous. Without any pressure, Josh is very relaxed. On the field, he waves to friends and chats with a girl who is also a competitor. However, when he sees the strong boy in the final position, he starts to feel uneasy. That boy is also wary of Josh. During the competition, he couldn't help but look for Josh. Each time he turned around, he found Josh closer. By the 6th time, Josh was right beside him. The next match would be their showdown. But just before the final match, Josh was staring at the chess piece he found earlier, lost in thought. Anyone could feel scared at such a moment, especially a young child like him. But then, Bruce suddenly walked in. Seeing his strict teacher, Josh felt a bit ashamed and said he couldn't win. However, Bruce didn't comfort him but agreed, saying he might indeed lose. But then, Bruce took out a certificate he had made himself. To him, Josh had already reached the level of a grandmaster. Being your teacher is an honor and a pride, he said. Whether you win this competition is no longer important to me. Although the certificate wasn't officially awarded, it was unique and what Josh desired most. Josh moved, hugged Bruce, and admitted he was scared. He asked his teacher to stay and watch the competition. Bruce firmly agreed. The teacher's presence and affirmation. Undoubtedly, this gave Josh immense encouragement. So, when the final showdown officially began, there was no longer any fear in Josh's eyes. Instead, he walked into the arena with great composure. As the match started, Josh immediately pressed the timer, but the boy arrogantly stared at Josh, refusing to start. Winnie and Bruce, watching from the sidelines, knew he was risking wasting time to try and psychologically suppress Josh. However, Josh saw through his trick and remained unaffected. Finally, halfway through the time, the boy began to act. This chess game feels more like a psychological battle. Josh calmly probes with his pawns, but the boy boldly places a piece deep in enemy territory, trying to lure out Josh's queen. Bruce, watching from the sidelines, starts to panic and mutters under his breath, "Don't fall for it." However, Winnie hopes Josh will play along. After a moment of thought, Josh decisively moves his queen. The boy smiles slightly, thinking Josh has taken the bait, but Josh's expression is subtle. The boy immediately retracts his piece, while Josh remains composed and immediately after, the boy captured Josh's pawn, but Josh retaliated by taking the boy's queen. Bruce, watching from the sidelines, thought the game was over and turned to leave, not wanting to see his protege lose. However, Winnie believed that Josh was setting up a strategy. And indeed, that's how it was. Under Josh's step-by-step manipulation, he quickly outmaneuvered the boy. To avoid the threat, the boy had to retreat the king, but this move also cost him his queen.
There it is!
The boy was momentarily unable to accept losing the queen. Josh then repeated what the boy had once said to the old man in the park. Trick or treat. This was a form of psychological pressure. Josh smiled as he returned the words to him. Now, both sides had lost their queens. The battle became more intense and thrilling. Josh, holding the advantage, launched the first attack. His powerful offensive forced the boy to retreat continuously. As Josh's attacks grew fiercer, the boy made a wrong step in his panic. If Josh seizes this opportunity, he can secure the championship. But this also means he must foresee 12 moves ahead. At just 7 years old, does he have that kind of skill? Josh racked his brains, pondering. Bruce was nervously muttering the solution. Suddenly, it seemed like his voice really reached Josh's ears. Josh recalled Bruce's first lesson. He then placed his chin on the table, letting every piece on the chessboard spin rapidly in his mind. Finally, he saw that crucial piece.
He's got it.
At that moment, there was an unspoken understanding between the teacher and student. However, Josh didn't make the expected move. Instead, he suddenly extended his right hand to offer a draw to the boy. As long as the boy agrees, they can tie for first place. But the proud boy would never make peace, especially since he believes Josh is bound to lose. Reluctantly, Josh withdrew his right hand. He really doesn't care much about winning or losing. Competition itself is cruel, but it hasn't erased Josh's kindness. Seeing this, his mother felt particularly relieved. In the final 12 steps, both of them stood up directly. You and I fought move by move until the very end.
Sure.
The boy finally realized that he had indeed lost. He walked dejectedly through the crowd cheering for Josh, anticipating possible scolding from his teachers and parents. That's the nature of competition. People only remember the champion's name. However, Josh wasn't particularly happy about winning. Instead, he looked a bit sad and told his father, "I tried to give him a chance." His father, feeling relieved, replied, "I know you did your best. At that moment, Josh saw his friend who had lost the match being scolded by his own father, just like Josh's father used to scold him. But Josh comforted him afterward, saying, "You're stronger now than I was back then."
Thanks.
Josh's kindness has always been there and always brings warmth to everyone around. Starring Marcos Palmerin, this biographical film released in 1993 is based on a true story. At the age of 6, Josh Waitzkin stumbled upon chess on the streets and, without formal training, defeated all opponents in Washington Square Park. As a teenager, he won the National Chess Championship 8 times and earned the title of Chess Master at 13. At 18, he published his first book, Josh Waitzkin's Attacking Chess. After 20, he developed the world's largest computer chess program, Chess Master. After dominating the Western chess scene for over a decade, he began studying Tai Chi at 22 and won the national and world championships 21 times consecutively. Josh's life is undoubtedly legendary, and his achievements are attributed not only to his innate talent, but also to the unwavering support and protection of his parents. When everyone expected him to be another Bobby Fischer, his mother noticed qualities in him that were completely different from Bobby. Bobby was a sharp sword, independent and conspicuous, disdainful of everything. Personal gains were not his main concern. He preferred to protect everyone he cared about. These two completely different individuals could not be nurtured in the same way. Otherwise, it would not only stifle the child's talent, but could also completely ruin the child's future. In this colorful world, everyone is endowed with unique colors, just as every leaf has its unique texture, and each of us also possesses our own unique personality and talents. When we look up to those who stand at the pinnacle of success, we are often attracted by their brilliance and want to emulate their steps. However, we must clearly recognize that success is not a simple copy-paste, but is built on personal qualities and efforts. Blindly imitating others may cause us to lose ourselves in the pursuit and even distort our values. Therefore, in the process of pursuing progress and growth, while it is important to learn from others' strengths, it is even more important to maintain self-identity and adhere to our own principles and beliefs. In learning from other successes, we must continuously explore ourselves, discover our potential and characteristics, and then pursue our dreams in our own way, creating a wonderful life that belongs to us.